हमसे है, हम खुद को कैसे बदलेंगे ध्यान से, विज्ञान से, आत्मज्ञान से। खुद को जानो तुम क्या हो, पहचानो तुम क्या हो, तुम क्या हो, तुम क्या हो, तुम क्या हो। सांस को अब ना है ध्यान ही बन जाए, सांस को अब ना है ध्यान ही बन जाए। सांस को अब ना है ध्यान ही बन जाए, सांस को अब ना है ध्यान ही बन जाए। तुझ में मुझ में क्या अंतर है, पशु पक्षी भी जीव है। तुझ में मुझ में क्या अंतर है, पशु पक्षी भी जीव है। जीने का हक सबको है, हम सब सारे एक है। ध्यान कर शाकाहारी बन, आत्मज्ञानी बन, खुद को जानो तुम क्या हो, पहचानो तुम क्या हो, तुम क्या हो, तुम क्या हो, तुम क्या हो। बन जाए, बन जाए, बन जाए, बन जाए, ध्यानी बन सांस को अब ना है ध्यान ही बन जाए।
Good morning, Masters. Thank you for taking time to join. Welcome to day 18 for the Power of Now book. Let me start sharing my screen. Hope you can all see my screen. So today we'll continue. So we'll start a new chapter, the chapter 9. We'll talk about beyond happiness and unhappiness, there is peace. And in this chapter, we'll do the first 3 topics, which is the higher good, beyond good and bad, the end of your life drama, and the impermanency and the cycle of life. These are like the three topics we'll cover today. So, on the first topic, so starting off with the higher good, beyond good and bad. So, we'll talk a little bit about already trying to explain how happiness can and how the good can be better than beyond the good and bad. So, primarily here, right? So, sometimes we truly know, like, sometimes we get positive things and we do have negative things. But the key thing here is when we have a negative thing, like a failure or a limitation or a loss or pain, whatever, right? So, we need to change that or turn that negative thing into a great teacher, into a positive thing. That's how that will it gives more depth, humility, and compassion by converting a negative or a bad scenario into a positive scenario. So primarily, whenever negative thing happens to you, there is a deep lesson concealed within. So why do negative or things that you don't want happen to you? Because there is something you have to learn. So when something like that happen, so it will always help you to grow in your spiritual life as well as in your physical life to grow and learn. So if you look at it, right? So there is good and bad in life. That's what we assume. But then there is only one higher good because even in the bad, we are trying to learn. So basically, a higher perspective is everything is all positive, even though it's in a bad way, it's trying to teach us and we are learning something. So assuming there is only one higher good. And this higher good also includes the bad because that's a part of our learning exercise. But then, right, people will also say, I can pretend that it isn't bad. I can pretend that everything is good. But the fact is, it's already bad. Like, why do I need to deny the fact and why do I pretend that everything is good when things like, when some accident, illness, or some pain, things like that happen? I know it is bad. So, why should I be deceitful or denieful about that? So, what the other is trying to say is, you're not trying to pretending anything. So basically this is allowing you to be take you beyond the mind. So we are trying to go beyond the positive and negative polarities that are set by our mind. So this is extremely important as an aspect of forgiveness. Forgiveness of the present, that is even more important than the forgiveness of the past. So if you forgive every moment and allow it to be as is, then there is no accumulation of sadness, resentfulness that needs to be forgiven at a later point of time. So, for example, when there is a death or something bad in your family, so you cannot be happy, right? You are definitely going to be sad. But key thing is you have to learn to be at a peaceful state rather than it is sadness. That's what author is trying to explain. And then what if situations like this, right? I am unable to change situations and how can I allow it to be coming at every same time, right? Every time the situation keeps coming like this, like what do I need to do? So the key thing here is acceptance, masters. So accepting immediately, accepting that you have both positives and negatives, or accepting that we have a good beyond the good and bad, right? That acceptance is extremely important. And also, acceptance will actually free you from your mind dominance and reconnects with you from being yourself. So instead of being dominated by or doing some resistance to your thoughts about something, accepting your thoughts will free you your mind dominance. Accept whatever comes to you, right? That is like your destiny or whatever comes to you, accept it as is. Once we accept everything, whatever is happening, then will also start, like most people will also start to forgive. As soon as they do, one of the greatest miracles happen. You accept everything, and you relinquish resistance, and then you start forgiveness. Then the awakening of being consciousness happen through every part of your body, and that's what will give you much more inner peace. So forgiveness will give you much more inner peace. And forgiveness in what? Not just in the past, right? Forgiving in the present, so that you do not need to go back or think about something back and again forgive. So you are trying to dissolve or heal the pain. You are trying to remove the unconsciousness without doing anything. You're just trying to do that by simply being or holding to the frequency of your inner presence. You're just trying to be that with your inner self. So the with the higher good and beyond masters, we are trying to understand that everything happening around us or happening with us is good. That's what even in Bhagavad Gita also they say, right? Even there is always good, even in the bad. They say we should always respect, because we should see anything bad happening as a good, because that's when we learn and we actually grow from where we are. With that said, let's move to the next topic, which talks about the end of your life drama. So this is basically, right, most of the things that are so-called bad things that happen in people's life due to being unconscious. And these are all created, self-created or ego-created. So other is trying to name all of this as a drama. So when you are fully consciousness, drama does not come into your life anymore. But if you are not conscious, or if you are in unconscious mode, that's when you'll feel like, so many bad things happening and all this drama comes into your life. So basically, it's the ego that is actually driving most of these patterns. So the basic ego, what we have, right? It's trying to resist our connection and trying to create a sense of lack. We do not have something. So primarily trying to create that you need more. The ego is telling you need more, you need to get more. And it's creating a sense of trying to control something, trying to get power, and also greed, attack something. So that's what the ego is trying to do to us. But when egos come together, right, it can cause many types of illnesses or bad things. So the bad things can be even in the form of physical illness. So with ego, having much ego and doing things, right, it's primarily restricting or blocking the flow of energy through your body, because that's just like a mind game. So when the ego kicks in and you try to block the flow of energy in your body, that's what will cause you illness, and you cannot create or participate. It's primarily stopping you from creating in any more drama. So with ego, physical illness is also caused because we are trying to do resist or restrict and restrict the flow of energy within your body. Okay? Whenever you are not honoring the present moment and you are allowing it to be, you are creating a drama. You are trying to go away from the present moment and you are allowing your mind to feel anxious, to feel disturbed. That's when we are actually creating the drama. So most people are, they definitely love this drama and the identity that comes associated with the ego. But when you live in a complete acceptance, accepting what is happening, accepting what it is, that will actually create an end to the drama in your life. So basically, for example, right, an argument is happening between you and your partner. You started arguing, and then there is some positive, or it's like polars, some opposite polars become mutually energized. So you're trying to argue on something and do. Only when you accept what it is, that's when creates you this end of drama. End of drama is nothing but perceived bad things. That's when okay, you understand the your partner's or someone's state of mind and try to accept what they're doing or saying. That way you are in much more peaceful with yourself and you are also in much more conscious state. And key thing is you are all ending your drama when you are honoring the present moment, when you live in the complete acceptance. Accepting is the most important, masters, accepting what is happening around us. And we should also stop the conflict that's happening within self. So any conflict or any negativity, anything happening in yourself, if you're not fully conscious, then you'll create more of this conflict. And no one who is it, no one is to be blamed for the conflict that's happening internally within you. This refers only to the conflict where people they're trying to get more perceived bad things, but when there is no longer need for any demand and expectations, because this is all your mind that is putting in some games to um, mind with your ego that's trying to say or that's trying to believe that there is a lot of drama happening and causing some unconscious and not uh, aligned, not fully aligned actions. So primarily, we have to end the drama. In order to end the drama, we have to accept fully what is happening around as is. And we should also stop the conflict in our mind. And we should also honor being in the present moment. But again, right, when we think about it, okay, so we accept, we do everything. But does it mean that everything that's happened within ourselves or within our realm is always permanent? So that's the next thing the author is trying to question. So how do we question like the permanency and the cycle of life happening with us? So primarily, all sufferings is ego created, as we are talking, and it is caused due to resistance. So as long as you resist to something without accepting, there will be more suffering. So do not resist anything that's happening with us. So primarily, if you think about it, right? So there usually are cycles of success, cycles of failure. So there's like two cycles where everyone, when things come to you and you thrive, when you are successful. But when the cycles of failures hit, when they wither or disintegrate with you, then you have to let them go in order to make room for new things, in order to make room for transformation to happen. If you always again cling and resist what is happening when there is a negative thing happening, again you are refusing to go with the flow of life, and then you will also start suffering. So primarily, the author is trying to say here nothing is permanent. So accepting the impermanency in the cycles of life is really important. One way to do that is not to resist. So this resistance is primarily created by your ego, and if we are able to control or reduce the resistance, that's when we can accept it and try to give free flow of life and reduce our suffering. So this upward and downward cycle is not just for your success. It can happen in many other places, right? So if we look at it, the upward and downward cycle also happens to your health. Sometimes we are like so healthy and we can do uh, everything and anything. But again, right, when the downward cycle comes in, when we are sick or not feeling well, that is the key time when we are unable, when we need to focus or conceal that failure in every success and success in every failure. That's primarily like somebody fails sooner or later. Everyone fails. It is because it's a cycle. Everyone fails and everyone succeeds either with their careers, with their works, or even with their health. They are like healthy sometimes, they get sick, again healthy. It's like a cycle. So, but accepting even when you are in a down, when you are in a lower state and a failure state, that's the most important thing. So you can still be active and you can still enjoy the new forms even when you are in a low state, because that's not just your life. You are only, that is only a life situation. Father is trying to say when you get through these cycles, it is just a situation that changes. And the physical illness, what we go through, right? The flow of energy is the most important thing that goes through. But when there is a situation like this, when you are sick, when you are not well, so it's primarily coming in because there is a fight against the cycle of energies within our body, and it is trying to create a regeneration, trying to create regeneration. And then when the regeneration is is happening and there is resistance, that's when it creates more friction. So the regeneration should never be, or when there is anything illness or something happening, we should not create resistance. Rather, we should accept, like Other is saying. And do not lay, that there is a teaching from Jesus that says, do not lay up for yourself treasures on earth where moth and rust consume and where thieves break in and steal. So do not just put everything is going to be permanent and lay up for yourself on the treasures of earth, but thieves will come and take everything you have. That is like one of the saying the other is trying to emphasize here. Okay. So now you understand the physical as well as your cycles and how the physical energy changes, as well as the cycles of how your success changes. Now let's just look into one step down. So as long as a condition is judged as good by the mind, whether it is really good or not, as long as your mind judges it as a good one, it makes you feel happy and you'll feel good about yourself. You'll think, oh, this is so good. Nothing is going to happen. But then, right, since you're dealing with mind, it may undergo polarity shift. The same thing that you thought is good yesterday or last year, it suddenly shifts and changes and it becomes bad. You feel like, I don't want this anymore. The same thing that made you happy yesterday, it makes you unhappy today. And yesterday, the same thing, you are enjoying your prosperity wealth. Again, today, with the prosperity wealth, you feel like you're completely empty. You don't have anything. So there are like these polarities of how the mind will start playing, and there is no permanency on this. So what other is also trying to say is, so others, those who are not conscious, they cannot distinguish between their life and the life situation. Earlier we spoke that things like this happen because these are life situations. This is not actually life. And also other is referring to an famous actor who died in her 80s. As she was very beautiful and she was looking very pretty when she was young. But as she became old, she became so unhappy and she thought she was not looking beautiful. So internally, because she put that condition, so it created her a sense of unhappiness with herself. When she was young, she was feeling so happy and good. But again, when she became old, she started attaching herself to being unhappy and not beautiful. Because of this change, so it actually, she went through a lot of health problems and lot of issues she has to deal with, and she has to transform herself or realize that she needs to change her thinking in order to identify and accept the timeless, formless thing. And Buddha also has a quote very similar to what we thought about happiness, suffering, and unconsciousness. So this means happiness and unhappiness are just in fact one. Only the illusion of the time separates them. So it's basically the time that separates between happiness and unhappiness. It's not actually being negative. It is simply recognizing the nature of how the mind behaves. So, and also one more example is he's also talking, the other is also talking about the cosmetic and the consumer industry, because I think the way they are all built upon is from a frustration or suffering where people want something better, always seeking for something better. So, assuming things and conditions will give you pleasure, but actually they'll give you pleasure for temporarily, but they will also give you pain. They will give you pleasure, but they cannot give you the real joy, all the real peace. If you remember this, masters, we spoke about how pleasure is defined, perceived pleasure and happiness, probably a couple of days back. How having materialistic or something tangible is perceived to be a permanent pleasure activity or happiness. That's what we attain it to. Whereas it is only a temporary because we want something in future and we attain our happiness, or we say the happiness is the only when we get that thing from the future. So basically, right, so this happiness that is attained to time and form, it's not a permanent thing. So as with the time and with the change in form, happiness will also reduces. So the key thing here is, masters, pertaining our happiness or joy, primarily it's related to being much more peaceful than attaining any of the physical pleasures or physical happiness satisfaction. The physical thing is also important, but the joy and peace should not be attached to the physical gains, physical material gains that happen in a day-to-day basis. So that's what Audrey is talking about, being imperfect or impermanency, and the cycles of how the life goes between the cycles of imperfection and all, where we have both ups and downs in the cycles. Okay, yeah. That's all for today, masters. It's about 5:30. So let's start meditation for about 30 minutes and then we'll do a quick. Okay. Please close your eyes and move your glasses. Make sure you are completely relaxed. Slowly start observing your breath. Our breath is our guru, masters. Our breath is our only thing that is with us as long as we have the human body. Our breath is always with us. Let us be thankful to our breath. Let us be thankful to the universe. Let us connect with the universe and get to the most joy and peace, masters. Be with your breath, masters. Last 5 minutes, masters. Let's be with our breath. Last 2 minutes, masters. Last 30 seconds. Last 10 seconds, master. Please bring your hands towards your eyes. Please put your hands on your face. Open your hands and look at your palms. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all the energies we received today. And thank you all, masters. Mm. Is definitely very brief highlights for day 18. We are doing the chapter 9, Beyond Happiness and Unhappiness, There is Peace. So, the most important thing what the author is trying to talk about is accepting things immediately. It can help us free from our mind. It can also help us to be in the present moment in more conscious way. And when we are honoring the present moment, we are also ending all drama in life. So, drama in life is nothing but perceived bad things happening to us. And this perceived bad things and good things, it is like a cycle, like a vicious cycle, where both bad and good do happen. But beyond these bad and good that create happiness and unhappiness, beyond all of this, there is a peace or joy that is more permanent. So both the happiness and unhappiness, which are perceived happiness and unhappiness, they are just temporary, and they go through this life through the circle of impermanency. Sometimes it's good and sometimes not so from a negative perspective. So that's all, masters, for today. If you have any questions or if you'd like to share your experience. Okay. If no other questions, thank you all for joining. Have a great day, and try to practice at least one thing from today's highlights. And let's try to be more conscious and be more present now. Okay. Thank you all. Have a great day. We'll see you all again tomorrow.